Here is your practice for focus number 10. It says in number 1, what is the equation, center, and radius of the circle? So in this one, we need to get this in standard form. So let's group the x's together and leave room to complete the square. Put a plus sign in the middle and group the y's together and then leave a blank to complete the square. Then on the other side, we need to add 2 blanks to the 5 that we're going to put the same number we add to the left on the right side. And then to get the number that goes in the blank, you always take half of that middle number. So in this case, half of 12 is 6, and then you square that number. So we would get 36, and make sure you add that to the right as well. On this one, we take half the middle number, which was 6, which is 3. Square that, and we get 9. And then we could rewrite this in standard form. So we get x plus, and you always take half that middle number. So x plus 6 squared. Always put a plus sign in between them. And then y plus half of that middle number again. So y plus 3 squared equals, and then we have 5 plus 36 plus 9. So that looks like that would be 41, that would be 50. So then your center comes from picking out the numbers and changing the sign. So there'd be -6 and -3. And then your radius would be the square root of 50. And when it's something that's uneven like that, you could just leave it as the square root of 50. You don't have to put a decimal. If you did get a decimal, let's see, that would be about 7.1. Let's look at number 2. It says, given the circle below, if arc AD is 3x plus 5. So if arc AD is 3x plus 5, and arc AB is 2x plus 10, so that arc is 2x plus 10. And they want us to find x and round to the nearest tenth. So we could take the 2 that we know and add them together, and they would equal 180 because they take up half the circle. There was a very loud bolt of lightning. All right, so 3x plus 5 plus 2x plus 10 would equal 180. And then combine like terms, so we get 5x plus 15 equals 180. We could subtract 15, so we get 5x equals 165. And then divide that by 5. And we get 33. We did not have to round that to the nearest tenth because there wasn't a decimal. On this next one, it says, if angle BAC. So the setup for this one, I need to add a little bit to my picture here. So on your quiz, you'll have something similar to this, where you have B here, A in the middle, C here, and D there. All right, so if angle BAC, they're saying, is congruent to angle, so BAC is congruent to angle CAD. So if these are congruent, it says find x and round to the nearest tenth. And in the picture, you would know, let's see, 3x plus 20. I just couldn't draw this out on my Google fast enough to make my video. And then this one was labeled 4x minus 6. So in your problem, you would see like those are labeled, and then it told you in the problem that these two were congruent. So if we know those are congruent, we can say that this arc over here would also be 3x plus 20. And then we're able to add them all up and set it equal to 360. So we'd say 3x plus 20 plus another 3x plus 20, or you could multiply it by 2. Wait a minute, we need to add 4x minus 6, and all together that would equal 360. So then combine like terms, so we have 10x, when we put all those together, 20 plus 20 is 40, minus 6 would be 34, equals 360. So let's subtract 34 to get 10x by itself, and that would be 326. And divide by 10, so we get x equals 32.6. And then that's all we needed for that one. In number 4, it says in circle X, PS is 30 feet. PS is the diameter. So if that whole thing is 30 feet, and they want the length of arc ST is what they want. That's supposed to be an arc. So let's see. If we know this is 125 as this, let's draw like this angle, the arc PT is 125. So arc ST would have to be 180 minus 125, which would be 55. And then you could just set 55 over 360 times 2 pi r, or pi times diameter. So 2 pi r would be 2 pi times 15, because each of these would be 15. Or you could do pi times 30, and that would give us the length of arc ST. The measure of arc ST, here, let me write this better. The measure is 55. So measure of arc ST is 55. That's different than the arc length. For the arc length, you needed the formula n over 360 times the circumference, which is that, or pi times diameter. So then let's calculate, and it said round to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to type in 55 divided by 360 times 30 pi. And I get 14.4. And that would be it for that one. Okay, let's do one more. In the figure below, arc CD is congruent to arc EF. So arc CD is congruent to arc EF. And then CD is 24, and EF is 36 minus 3x. So we know if the arcs are congruent, the chords are also congruent. So we could say 24 is equal to 36 minus 3x. So let's subtract 36, and we get negative 12 equals negative 3x. And then divide by negative 3, so we get x equals 4. All right, so that is it for the practice for focus quiz number 10. In the circles problem at the beginning, it's nice to write these in the blank just so I could grade the papers really quick and easy. But sometimes you have trouble transferring your answer over here. So as long as you've got it clearly on your paper and I can find it, that's okay. But it does help me if you could write it over there in the blanks. And just be careful. And make sure you put the plus sign in between there. That's something small that people tend to miss.